the LEC, where Misfits are coming off a victory in Game 3. They're still trailing the series 1-2, but I think that the choice for Wildfire was really apt by production because the spark is there, guys. They are no longer down and out in this series, and I think a lot has to come down to the choices that were made in the draft this time around. They got blue for the second time, and they did a lot more with it, Treatz.
They did. I mean, their draft kind of resembled their Game 2 draft, I would say, in the style of champions, but this time the execution was also there, which I think is the big factor. Like, Shlatan and Mersa teamed up well, and then the soul lanes got enabled and kind of outplayed their opponents this time around, so it looked honestly kind of easy for Misfits.
I also feel like it's the fact when you don't reveal Vetheo's pick immediately that he's coming out with, so you actually give him some space so the enemy team doesn't just counter the entire comp immediately. And I don't know how well I agree with the Kaiser into the LeBlanc there either. It feels like Vetheo had a great time with it.
Yeah, they did. I mean, LeBlanc, it's not really a surprise, right, that they come out with that. What were then the key differences? Because it was Syndra last time around. How much did that come into play with the opportunities that Misfits had?
I think the smart adaptation that Misfits had was picking the LeBlanc and Xayah instead of the Syndra and Xayah. So their range advantage is not as great for Rogue this time around. And I think the other biggest difference was the Jarvan pick didn't really have a place in this comp. He was playing it into like 4 mobile champs and Xayah, which sucks for him. And then add on top of that the Kaiser, right? So it's kind of like Rogue's comp doesn't make a lot of sense, to be honest.
It really doesn't. That it's also just the fact that, as you said yourself, better to Vetheo, but it's also just the fact that you have agency in this champion. Vetheo gets to be mobile, which is where we've seen him have most success. Just see him around the control mages. It really didn't do all too much if the team wasn't playing around him, but the team this time around brought all the resources up towards the mid-top sides.
And everyone was having a much better game. Let's take a look at some of the images from the early game in terms of the solo laners, in terms of the bot laner. I want to say there were also a fair bit of nerves, maybe especially for Shlatan in those first couple of games, but everyone feels a bit more comfortable here.
Yeah, I think he looked more confident, and even though some of the early trades went towards Rogue, like this one, I think there was still positives to take away from Misfits in these fights, and they had clear goals, and I think they actually executed on them this time around.
Especially because last time around we said that Malrang was the one reading the map the entire time, but this time around Shlatan was the one who was playing counter gank facilitator instead. And when you do that, it gives you so much space to move around with. You get to have the intel of your opponent, and it just seemed way easier from Misfits. And as we said, like Shlatan on Lee Sin, there's a reason why Rogue banned it in the first game. You might have to do it again, just because it's such a comfort champion for Shlatan. Shlatan on Lee Sin is way different on Shlatan than any other champion.
And you can probably tell us a bit more about when you're a pro player and when you get on the stage and perhaps you really want this champion. This isn't just about being the comfort champion then, but that just comes, multiplies itself tenfold if you then have a good game on it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he must be feeling on top of the world right now. He's like, oh, I had 2 bad games, but now I really popped off. So, I mean, he's hoping that it won't be banned. I think it will be banned personally, but I think that any aggressive champ suits him. I think he could do the same on Xin Zhao if he performs as well, so it will be interesting to see, but I think the confidence is there from Misfits, and I think that's the most important.
Spark is all you need, really, and we'll have some time later to also talk about the rogue composition, but for now, Nymaera is standing by to break down the top and bot lane kills that we saw.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. So last time we did a bit of a breakdown, we kind of looked at a play where Misfits in game 1 had some information which emboldened them to go for a play, and they kind of bottled it because they didn't take into account all of the factors there. So we thought it'd only be fair to kind of show them actually do the correct thing with some of their information and actually see a really cool play come to fruition. So this was around what happened in the bot lane first, but we can see what happens in a whole series of events which flows across the map. So if we could just start playing this very quickly, see that a bot lane dive is starting to come around, see that Lee Sin coming through, and goes for this bot lane play and tries to unseat this 2v2. But if we stop just here, actually something very interesting has happened. As we look down on the mini-map, you can see actually this is where the information thing comes in, because we see that Jarvan just showed on mid-wave, there's the Kaiser who's already teleported there, so HiRit uses the information to say, well, that's 4 out of 5 members. 5th one's already top in lane, keep playing through the clip. He uses this moment after he'd already taken a hard trade just beforehand, blows both his summoners, teleport to get back in, flash to get on top of his intended target, and takes this window of time to find a good advantage in this. So bot lane starts off the play, information comes from priority mid, which gives all the information towards HiRit to find a kill in that 1v1 matchup, which of course is very, very important to get the entire map rolling. It's actually quite simple if you think about it. It's just about the flow of information and finding the right window to find these plays, but they utilized it well, and that was a big part of their victory. Back over to you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for showcasing that as well. The applause. Oh, the NLC. brothers are very
That's my
supportive
boy
towards
right
each other.
there.
That's really nice. But yeah, I think it just also goes to show that HiRit as well, who didn't have a good game one, is also feeling a bit better. So let's talk a bit about the preview for the next game. Rogue was on the selected side, and they have now chosen blue, going back to that for that fourth game. And if you want to theorize a little bit about the draft, Guldborg, they have said, even in the regular season, hey, this is the time for us to try a couple of things out. But for some reason, I feel like with the history that they have in terms of also best of fives being turned around on them, I don't really think it was an experiment.
Okay, so here's what, before we dive into the draft and all that, I feel like just stylistically from Rogue, this is where they have to stand as a team now. With the team they had before, if they took a loss, they had a bad mental in the team. The atmosphere would turn for the worst, and they struggled to come back into their games, which is why we saw Rogue struggle a lot last year. This time around, they've been saying the team atmosphere, it feels better. They feel like they can come together more easily, and now we have to see it. This is the defining moment of this Rogue roster.
I wonder what's going to happen here, because she's gesturing that for them to sit in a circle, but we'll see. Anyways, go ahead, Treatz.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think this is kind of the test for Rogue, right? If they can close the series out cleanly now, 3-1, that shows a lot of their mental progress and their mental resilience. And I think also having side selection feels like a big lift for Rogue. And I think they, in their head, know how to win from blue side, obviously, because they did that in the first game. And then, I mean, it's easy to draft on blue side. So I think they're coming in with a lot of confidence. Misfits has a lot of confidence, so I think it will be a
best game
banger.
of the series, maybe.
Yeah, but I wonder if this is going to be the curveball then, because now we finally see Misfit. They've done well on what's comfort to them. Now they might end up in bad matchups. Here it might have to blind pick on R4 again. What's going to come out in that situation? Because last time he got completely dumpstered by Odo. So I'm sorry for the hard wording, but it was a really tough situation. So Misfits now, they need to stabilize in potentially unknown territory.
Yeah, no, for sure. Unknown territory always looked kind of shaky for Misfits. So I think they kind of have to change up their entire style of drafting. Maybe go for fighting on jungle support as they have before, but maybe give a crazy counter pick to Vetheo. Let HiRit also get a counter pick. I think if they can get solo lanes stabilized like they did in the previous game, it will bode well for them.
I'm thinking that you guys don't want to change your prediction. You had a 3-1 for Rogue, and it feels like you
We're
still think
feeling
they're gonna
good.
I mean,
close it out.
blue side OP, I think.
Blue side OP. All right. Will Misfits take us to Silver Scrapes, or will Rogue see the win? Let's send it over to our casters for Champ Select.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. Oh, we're waving now.
Is everyone waving?
Yeah.
Wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Smile.
The classic from Penguins of Madagascar, right? Smile and wave.
Which animal would you be in Madagascar?
Penguin.
I would be
Kowalski. Analysis.
a dragon because I'm lit. Now, we're jumping into game 4 between Rogue and Misfits.
Yeah, I feel that way.
Let's go.
Of course, the Analyst desk has has broken down a lot in terms of our expectations and what we may very well see. And I think the biggest thing that we have talked about is the draft. We're interested in focusing, Caedrel. Don't pay attention to Medic. Okay, it's not about him.
I feel bad because he committed and I didn't. The last one was
It's a lot harder for you to leave in this
I'm in a
glass
jail.
box of despair.
Think about the draft,
Yeah,
Caedrel.
draft.
The
Okay, they
draft.
should ban Lee Sin.
They should
I
ban
think Treatz is
Lee
right. Blue side is OP. And we saw Rogue when they were on blue side, probably going to ban Lee Sin again. Red side ban of Hecarim is probably going to happen too. So we're going to get straight into it. Will Misfits just run back the mid bans? Will Rogue run back their game 1 bans of just taking away things like the Lee Sin, the TF, or whatever it may be on blue side to make sure they can get a strong first pick?
There's a lot of questions that come up. Jinx immediately banned away by Rogue. Of course, the Jinx Zeri have been their predominant bans so far after that first game. Victor, Twisted Fate, and the Caitlyn options for Misfits.
Yep, there's the Victor expecting some kind of TF and Kate and what was the last one? Sorry,
Caitlyn or Hecarim?
Caitlyn or Hecarim on the line. Yeah, because Rogue first picked the Caitlyn in game 1. They need to make sure they change that up.
Question. Do you think there's a world where Misfits leave the TF open and then Vetheo does like a Silas answer into it?
Definitely. I think that's very possible because they ban TF first normally, right?
Yeah.
That Victor ban is sus, especially with the Caitlyn second. Maybe they're trying to bait Rogue into banning TF third now because they're kind of playing the stare down game of I'm going to leave it up if you don't ban it.
But I mean, Larssen would happily play Twisted Fate, right? Like, even if the Silas does come through from Vetheo, which is one of his favorite champions to play, and is a very good answer into the Twisted Fate, it's also just one of Larssen's comfort picks. It's something that he has a lot of proficiency on, but it will be removed. Not going to be up and available, and Rogue immediately go for the Zeri instead. We did see Comp play this against G2, and for those that don't remember, in a bot lane play, he broke all of their ankles back to back. So
multiple comminuted fractures down there.
Yeah.
Tip fibs all over the place, man.
He's very confident on the champion, but an immediate Hecarim response from Misfits. We've been seeing Hecarim rise in popularity throughout solo queue. It's been slowly rising in popularity around the world, and Misfits happy to lock that one in.
So I thought that Rogue would ban Larssen, but instead they banned LeBlanc, and with Larssen and Hecarim up, Misfits obviously showing which one they think is the strongest now. They could go, they would have probably fancied a Hecarim Nautilus here on 1-2, but they're going to go Hecarim Rakan instead. Of course, Nautilus banned away. Maybe Xayah on 3 unless Rogue drafts some kind of crazy mid pick here. I think Leona here for Rogue would make the most sense, and then picking their jungler, whichever Malrang fancies. I mean, you could run back the Jarvan, but I mean, I would want to wait to see more of their composition. I think just something like Larssen is the safest, or Volibear, something with good early setup. So very different draft the last couple games. Oh, he's going to run it back.
Yep.
I'm not a fan. We already see, I mean, Hecarim, of course, typically you don't run the flash. The ultimate can, of course, phase through it, but you're already seeing mobility from Rakan, and we know that Misfits, they've been playing so much mobility just in general.
Wow.
Oh,
the
okay.
Gnar blind.
So I was thinking maybe they go Jarvan and look for Rumble on 4-5 or something, but even Jace is open. They go for the Gnar blind. It's very different to what we've been seeing Rogue do. That maybe
Completely different
they're going for something safe. I mean, they went Jace early rotation in game 2. They went Jace 1-2 in game 3. They had confidence on it, and this is what we're talking about at the end of that game, is do they have confidence just run it back and say that it was just a happy little accident of a game? Looks like they don't. They're just going to opt into the Gnar. There's the Xayah for Misfits as expected, and Treatz said on the desk, solo lane counter picks to stabilize them. They're going to get counter pick top. I think Rogue can't really ban out enough champions for Gnar to find a safe matchup or a good matchup. And then Vetheo should get counterpick mid as well.
Lucian also working all the way through this draft so far. We have seen it banned a couple of times on second phase, and also for Rogue, you have so much physical damage already on that team, you're probably not going to want a Lucian in the mid lane with that Gnar towards the top side.
Yeah, there's the Leona ban. I thought maybe just Zeri Leona early rotation into Rakan would make the most sense. They're going to lose a couple melee supports here. You have to expect 4 Misfits now. Rogue.
I was just about to say that Camille ban. Yeah, I feel like that Rogue's game plan has to be to shut down HiRit, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when blind picking Gnar, I think there's just too many champions into it. You've got Camille, you've got Jace, even things like Kennen, Irelia could work.
Yeah, but I think they're
Lucian.
calling HiRit out and they're saying that you can't play them. I feel like that they're saying you've been defaulting to Camille a bunch in terms of what you actually play. That your most played champion this split was Gwen, which is gone.
Yeah.
She received a pretty substantial nerf, and it seems that teams are definitely not going towards her, and I wouldn't be surprised to see another top lane ban here. We may even see the Jace banned to try and limit HiRit's options further again, and Rogue seem... my impression is they're trying to limit HiRit's impact in the game as much as possible.
Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, Misfits, of course, are going to pick top on 4.
There it is, yeah.
There's the Jace ban, and I'm expecting for Rogue, maybe
So do
Larssen.
they play Lucian? Do they play Lucian?
Do they play Irelia? Do they play Kennen? Something like that would work pretty well into the Gnar. I think Larssen's probably going to look for an Orianna pick this game, would make the most sense with what they're drafting, and he does have the confidence to do it. So despite investing these bans, does HiRit really do? Does he really have it? Is he going to go for it?
Do it.
It could be a flex as well, but...
Irelia top.
Very nice. We saw him do it last year a few times, Aurelia, and we have seen, of course, him play it in Spring. Kennen instead was buffed on this patch. Is still a very strong top laner and gives you some more teamfight threat.
Yeah, Kennen is an old school pick into the Gnar. You think back to,
sure.
I think it was Rock's G2 a long time ago. That was the year, that was the meta of Kennen Gnar.
Old man. Why are we thinking about that, Caedrel?
That was the time of the Kennen Gnar trade-off where Kennen would slightly win out of the matchup because of the push and the range difference. But anyway, that's going to get locked in. I mean, the Aurelia pick is very volatile, and you do lack a little bit of AP as well, which would have to be facilitated from mid. But that's a Yuumi Zeri.
That's a Yuumi Zeri.
Rogue is scaling. Is it going to be an Orianna as well? Are we scaling, boys? It looks like we might be. Misfits have a lot of dive. We'll see what Vetheo picks to follow up on it.
I mean, we're probably not going to see a Lucian mid. I was going to say we're probably going to see some type of control mage in mid lane, and it's going to be Larsen's tried and true Orianna. So I now understand the Gnar a little bit more. Rogue had already planned to go for Yuumi later on into the draft, and they were saying, well, we need more frontline and we need more follow-up engage, and that is exactly what the Gnar, along with the Jarvan, will provide, along with the utility of the Orianna. So solid teamfight comp from Rogue. How will Misfits round it out? And of course, they're going to lock in Vetheo's Akali. What better champion for him when Misfits have their backs pushed against the wall? They need another 2 wins to make their way forward in the playoffs. Of course, there is still the losers bracket, but they don't want to fall down there once again. They want to bring us to a game 5, and what a better champion than Veto's signature Akali.
These are going to be very fun drafts to watch. I think with the removal of Hullbreaker on ranged champions nerfing it so hard, Gnar really isn't that huge of a split pusher right now. I think neither side has a huge split pusher. Yes, Akali can be your aggressor, and yes, Gnar can be your aggressor, but there's no real side lane pressure coming out from either of these teams. It's all team fight. Kennen, Hecarim, Rakan into things like Orianna, Jarvan, Gnar. There's a lot of spells to watch out for. There's a lot of threat on both AD carries, and Rogue have good scaling with the Yuumi and with the Orianna, but Misfits have such a strong mid game with Hecarim, Rakan, Kennen. They have so much explosivity, so much like decisiveness on spells when they can just pull the trigger.
And I love playing Akali, and whenever I look at a comp that she's playing into, I always think, how much crowd control is there that she has to play into? There's not a lot of lockdown from Rogue, but there is so much setup for the Akali. And when you're worried about that Kennen ultimate and the Hecarim ultimate and the Rakan ultimate all flying at you, the last thing that you think about is the Akali flying with that art over onto your backline, offering that threat, and that is exactly what Vetheo is so very good at. I'm super excited to see Misfits play this draft, as Rogue will look to try and fight. We're going to see a lot of team fights, Caedrel.
Such fun drafts.
It's going to be so much fun to watch. Of course, Rogue 2-1 up in the series. 1 win would lock them in the top 3 here in Europe. Let's see if Misfits can stop those plans right now. And onto the Rift we dive once again. Just a reminder, in case you forgot, the last time these two teams met in playoffs summer last year, Rogue won 3-2. They denied Misfits a spot in Worlds. And then, of course, Fnatic did the same a week later. Misfits, it's been a long time since we have seen them really challenge at an international level, all the way back in 2017 with Alfari and Maxlaw and Hun Summer, that team that took SKT to 5 games. And of course, no Worlds on the line right now, but still, it has been a rise through the ranks for Misfits here in spring, and we'll see if they can continue that form.
And remember, it's effectively a new roster for Misfits.
Yeah.
You know,
They're in danger
a
here,
lot of
though.
us thought that they would be in a development phase, but the fact that they've made it this far and are being competitive with Rogue is definitely a joy to see. So Misfits looking to bounce back in this series. They will be forced off of that tri-brush as the ward came down early. Mersa does have the W still on cooldown, 5 more seconds. Comp just searching for a bit of damage.
Gonna get some mana flows, and there it is. Thought maybe they were in trouble there because Mersa went past the ward. A lot of trading level 1. W start from Neon. They were looking some kind of all in there, but I think we know who our key players to watch for both these teams are. Misfits look like a completely different team when Veteo's on playmaking, when he can actually get out of lane and do things, and he has a champion to do it, and he has the setup to do it. For Rogue, it's Malrang. What can he find in the early stages? Can he juggle these lanes? Can he punish these lanes running the first strike Jarvan again? Red Raptors, he's probably going to go Grump as well, so he's going to get that fast level 3. And for pushing lanes right now, it's only really Larssen who can push in for the side of Rogue.
Well, I mean, they do have this push and bot, of course, as well. In terms of leveraging that double range, bullying out in the early laning phase. You already talked about it in the draft, Caedrel, as well. Kennen, often an old school answer into Gnar. And for the time being, he does have that wave stacking up. Malrang has pathed up towards the top side of the map. I'd be surprised if we've tried to go for any early ganks, but given that he does have that mid prio, he may look to primarily contest just that scuttle for the time being.
Feels like a bit of a slow early game from the champions and lanes. Like you said, they have bot push as well, but they have a Yuumi lane. They have mid push, but they have an Orianna lane. There's no real explosive dives that can happen unless Malrang can find someone who's really chunked out, but for now, trades are pretty slow. Misfits want to get to mid game. Rogue want to get to mid to late game-ish, get a couple more items on this Yuumi Orianna. So objective control, vision control is what they're going to be playing for.
For the moment, very happy to do that. Of course, both junglers completing their first clear. You can see Shlatan coming over towards his blue and Gromp, so has pathed down towards this bottom side. But a little bit of, not apprehension, you know, it's level 3, it's level 2. No one really is in a position to go all in as of yet, but you can feel perhaps a little bit of tension on the Rift in this game.
Definitely can, and the one lane that is winning pretty hard right now is mid. I mean, Larssen getting a pretty hefty CS lead. I'm not sure how big the wave is under tower, but Vetheo running Resolve second is going to struggle in this matchup, and like you said, Vetheo in contention for maybe MVP of the split, you know, one of the strongest mids we had, such a strong performance, but Larssen is this consistent rock for Rogue. He has incredible stats, and he's done so much for this team over the last few years.
He is I mean, obviously, there's been a big debate right now as to whether or not Larssen has been underrated in terms of his performance so far this split, right? And like, it's obviously a very debatable subject. I think you could make an argument for Larssen, Humanoid, and Vetheo all being in that first place position, depending on what you as an individual value. But the one thing that you can't really dispute is that we have a lot of good mid laners in our league right now, and the fact that that conversation is so difficult. Remember that Caps and Perks aren't even at the top right now, which only brings even more excitement as we get closer to their playoff matches later on in the weekend. But for now, Larssen leveraging his range, as he often does on the Orianna. A massive lane bully is what this champion can beat. Now that he's pushed, I would have thought that he would actually look for base here, but he wants to keep the pressure up. He does still have biscuits, so that mana is still going to be available to him. And notice that he is running the first strike as well, so even more money in his back pocket.
HiRit trading aggressively onto Odoamne in the top lane. Of course, the Mega Gnar will give Odo some semblance of health back. Kennen working well into this Gnar early on. Odo's actually gone all the way through all of his health potions, running the fleet here as well. That's for a little bit of extra healing up towards that top side.
So as both teams just continue to trade back and forth, Jungler's not really looking for any other ganks. Do want to remind people in terms of the stakes of what this means for playoffs. So because, Medic, we were talking about this earlier, but because Rogue finished first at the end of the regular season, if they win, they actually lock top 3.
That they do. If they win here, they play the winner of Fnatic and G2. But because they have first seed from the regular season, even if they lose that game, they would go into our lower bracket final. So the game that qualifies you for the actual finals, meaning they're guaranteed at least top 3. And it would be the fourth split in a row that they've actually done that. 2020 summer, 2021, both spring and summer, they were in that top 3.
Yeah, and it's pretty impressive how consistent this Rogue organization actually has been with the different iterations that we've seen from them. Consistent top 3 performances in the LEC. They are definitely one of the best teams that we have. And Misfits is looking to try and upset that as they try to bounce back.
Yeah, in playoffs is where they just normally tend to drop the ball. I don't know what it is, but Odoamne was talking about it a little bit on Euphoria, saying there was a couple civil wars going in on the team during that summer playoffs, during their run to Worlds. Mersa?
Flash is in here, looking for Larssen. Larssen holding onto a flash, perhaps just looking for some damage, as Larssen did just TP back into lane.
So I think the main reason why that didn't work was because of the minion wave. So Vetheo could have R'd into E, but if he...
Mersa got out. Doesn't really have anywhere to go, and with Yuumi on his shoulders, Trymbi takes first blood. Shlatan chasing in here, only level 5. Vetheo now diving forward, but the shockwave's going to bring them both back. Vetheo has to use the perfect execution to try and get away. Ahead right now, and it is going to be difficult for Misfits to get back on into that situation.
Yeah, Mersa no flash. I think the W might have been on cooldown as well because he doesn't use it. Oh, he does use it actually for the knock-up to peel for himself. Doesn't W away, but still gets caught out. I was a bit confused here. Shlatan's just running at them. Maybe he thinks Trymbi can't use his W again and jump onto a member, so maybe they can get a kill, but he does in the end, and they turn the fight. Good flash forwards from Larssen to secure the kill. And that mid-play just backfiring for Misfits once again. Mersa overforcing, gets punished by Malrang, and Shlatan doing the same thing.
So I didn't quite get to see what happened in the initial exchange when Mersa committed his flash to actually knocking Larssen up, but... Oh, hang on, I don't have time to talk about this, as Shlatan is looking for a dive. He is still on level 5.
Deep.
Yeah, he is quite deep indeed. Odoamne does have TP, gonna use that top actually, never mind. And it's just a bit of a contest over these crabs right now. I'm keeping my eyes on Malrang on the minimap, making his way down.
Shlatan must almost be 6, otherwise this is such a continued fight here. Malrang smites it, gets the 6, puts the Cataclysm down. Oh, and it's all gone wrong for Misfits. They were looking for a dive of their own, they overstayed, and because of that, Shlatan will fall here. Comp chases him down, he's healing. Yeah, sure he is, Benny, but you can heal as much as you want. In the end, you will still be swiped away.
I think you're completely right, Menik. I think that big Krug was going to give Shlatan level 6, so he felt pretty safe there. Regardless of what happens, he can ult away, worst case, but Malrang stealing it gets him level 6, and then Shlatan's locked up. He tries to farm the Krugs to get it, but in the end, he's probably very, very close. Observers, if we could click on Hecarim right now, I would love to see what his experience bar looks like. Pretty close. I think if he got the full camp, he might have got it, but still, farming those small Krugs wouldn't have got him a level up.
Yeah, we're seeing Rogue's early game looked as dominant as we have typically seen, but Misfits seeing these small mistakes which are getting punished. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. He's trying to get that level 6 from this big Krug.
Also,
I think it's
Neon is stepping up so deep.
It feels like a big overforce. And like, look, the big one gets smited away. That then gives Malrang the level 6. And just such a big overcommitment here from Misfits. I mean, I guess they believe that Malrang was on the top side of the map. I'm not entirely sure what information they had, but Malrang literally walked from top to bot, EQ'd over the wall, smited. Like, it was pretty easy for him all in all.
Yeah, and they were there for so long that, of course, he has enough time to move all the way down. Misfits again overforcing a little bit. I think that's the story of this game here. Did that go over to Malrang?
Yeah, Malrang got that.
Oh, it's a horror. Was it red buff? Was it the Bomby Cinder? Oh, Larssen must be fuming right now because blue buff Orianna into Akali would be lovely, but that's just been taken away.
Unlucky. He still has his biscuits though, and he's running tier, so he should be all right.
And he's got a kill in a lost chapter.
But he could have blue buff.
But he
could have blue buff too, it's true.
And he will remember this.
Yep.
But this does give a window.
I feel like it's a phase for mid laners. Every now and then it gets stolen and then they think to themselves, okay, I need to make sure I last hit it. But that eventually fades away. And it happens again one day. And then you think about it, and just a reoccurring thing that happens to mid laners.
As the classic that I always read is Twitch, when they pull red for you bot lane, and then you like hold your smite as a jungler, and then the Twitch steals your red.
The best part is when you do get it. Like Malrang gets the blue, it's like, oh, what a shame.
Yeah.
Oh no, you've been on both sides of that coin, haven't you?
Oh, I just got a level up. Oh, what a shame.
Oh, here it's looking for something here on Odoamne in the top lane. Gnar bar building up, but that's done underneath the tower. Will force Odoamne away. Shlatan was in the wings as well, and Rogue off to a very strong start here. A lot of it capitalizing on the fact that Misfits have overstepped and overstayed. 2,000 gold the lead for Rogue.
I feel like it's just a case of the last couple games where Malrang's just at the right place at the right time, shutting down Zlatan's plays, whatever he's doing. The bot one was kind of gifted, but here he is again. Misfits on vision doing a herald. Malrang's hovering around. Odo has Mega Gnar. Here comes Larssen. It's a 4v3 for now, but they have a lot of spells to work with.
Comp's on his way as well. Of course, can dash through walls if the Zeri needs to get there a little bit quicker.
We're looking at that choke point right now. Odoamne is as well, because he's looking to throw out the ultimate. It's going to fade away though, but now Comp and Trymbi have arrived.
There they go.
Shlatan going in, Smite secures it, Vetheo eye is down, they will get it, and Malrang's down as well. Odoamne getting chased out by Shlatan. He should fall to Comp here, who gets the auto attacks off, slicing Malrang onto the backline, and now Neon joins the Vedius, double to HiRit. Rogue continues to step forward into 4 members of Misfits. Comp with the Yuumi on his shoulders doing a lot of work here. Exhaust going down as well. Odoamne putting the damage down. Comp's going to dash away. Trymbi and Odoamne now in the pitch. Comp flashes back forward. Looking to get excited on this Zeri as Misfits are on the retreat. Feathers fly out. The pull back. Neon can't flash forward and get the root. Comp so low. Still alive somehow. Odo will chase out Mersa and Rogue come out of it on top.
Well, I think Misfits actually won this in the end from the prolonged fight because they got 2 kills onto HiRit. They got the Herald as well. But they did lose Mersa, but a lot of summoner spells were used to sustain through this entire fight. It actually looked pretty Rogue favored to begin with, but Shlatan and Vetheo did so much work with HiRit to get 2 members straight away. Neon, really unlucky. He tried to go for the E-Flash kill towards the end there onto Comp, but he kind of messed it up, but here's Malrang with ultimate.
Yeah, I don't think Misfits won out on it in the end.
Not anymore!
Oh, wow.
If they had Herald here, maybe they could get a tower, but Shlatan stole that one away. A lot of back and forth, but yeah, I think now definitely Rogue in the driver's seat, getting a mid-wave in, getting plates.
But that play showed us what we're in store for. Even though Misfits find themselves behind, there's no. He can't do this alone.
He hasn't got Featherstorm. I'm pretty sure he can, Daddy. No Featherstorm, Turbo Chem Tank. I mean, Neon's just forced away.
Full tank.
Oh, Malrang, though. Maybe overstepped a little bit here. Does still have a... What is this, man?
He's playing with them. Shlatan's angry. Is he using E? He's like, is this guy allowed to do this?
Malrang walks to bot lane. EQs enemy AD carry in the face, refuses to elaborate, leaves.
Pops up a dog emo afterwards.
He just keeps doing it. Giga Chad Malrang, man, this man does not care. If the enemy engages on him, he sees that as an opportunity to re-engage onto them. And what a great performance from him so far in the series. But I wanted to highlight like how chaotic that last fight was and kind of what we're in store for in the future. Because look at how chaotic this was. So the fact that Odoamne does not have ultimate, and then look at this combo from Shlatan and Vetheo. The initial engage from Shlatan into the follow-up from Vetheo, he just gets melted with HiRit landing the Q on the backside, and now Rogue is split up. But they have to stay separated because HiRit still has his ultimate. Flashes ults onto Larssen, taking him out of the fight, and then we see the extended trades coming out from Comp.
Yeah, it's just lots of back and forth. Comp wants to do damage. Misfits want to turn, but they can't find the right angle. Neon's E misses. HiRit pushes Comp away, but then he flashes back over. Vetheo flashes. Now here comes the most crucial part of this entire fight. Watch Neon's ultimate. He tosses it out, and he looks for an E-flash here onto Comp, but he just misses it. If that hit, Comp was dead, Trymbi was dead. Misfits win the fight, but in the end, it's a 2-for-2 with, of course, Shlatan falling way earlier on in the fight. Misfits get the Herald, but then the cross kill onto mid again from Malrang means Rogue are slowly winning out. And of course, you can see the gold lead, 3,000 now for Rogue. Still no Dragons taken. We'll see if Rogue want to start that one up.
Shockwave.
Solo kill.
Vetheo might just die here. And the auto attack is enough. Twilight Shroud a little bit late. Mersa was coming in as well, but has to use the grand entrance to make a grand exit as he tries to escape. Malrang, though, this man has no fear.
Another emote. He's got many. He's got the emote wheel going.
Okay. Odo here getting chased out by HiRit in the top lane, but Odo very happy just to continue this 1v1. Can back away and then TP back in if he so desires.
But things just keep going in the favor of Rogue. We talked about how, yeah, Misfits have a lot of great options in terms of their team fighting capabilities, and the mid-game spike is really what Rogue has to be careful of. But Rogue is finding pick after skirmish, after advantage. This could be an answer, though. Misfits trying to make a cross-map play after losing this bot tower, which is guaranteed to fall. Can they kill Odoamne?
Odo has no flash, he's feared back, knocked back with the rampage as well as HiRit looks for the chase, but no slicing Maelstrom on the Kennen. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, but Odo with the fancy feet dodges away from the Shuriken. And the Rift Herald will help Misfits take their first tower of the game.
Very, very close to hitting, and look at mid lane. Larssen up 2 levels on Vetheo, got his revenge on the solo kill. 40 CS lead, mid tower is very, very close to dying as well, so this Akali pick slowly backfiring. Veteo's gonna need to find some kind of kills in fights. Again, still no dragon taken. Misfits good cross map for now, but Rogue still ahead.
Yeah, this Akali is now so far behind. That death in mids meant so much in terms of the matchup. To then have solo die makes it so much harder. You can see how delayed he is in terms of his first item, whereas Larssen already well on the way to his second. It's going to take a lot longer for Misfits to feel confident enough, or a few great picks that can funnel some gold back into Vetheo to allow him to really have an impact in the next few fights.
Misfits hovering bot, Comp has no flash, Mersa can ult on top of him, but I think that...
It's cute that you think that this champion needs flash to go get away.
Speedy, Sonic the Hedgehog just gets out of there.
Got Zumi's heal, a full Moonstone already complete
And
on Trymbi as well. Got the cat, right? Like,
he's got a mimic in the cat, kind of, a summon.
A summon. I'll give you a summon.
A summon that will also exhaust the enemy, will heal you, and basically, yeah.
Didn't you watch Caedrel play Elden Ring? Basically, he does all the work for you.
Still did it, though.
You did, man. You did. We're very proud of you, Caedrel. As the tower falls in the bottom lane. Rogue well in the lead here. Comp gonna dash across that wall, going for a bit of surfing as Misfits look for the fight. Shlatan is here. TP's coming in. Vetheo looking for the flank position, but he's dead where he stands. And even with the quickness coming in from Mersa, he's locked back in the Cataclysm. HiRit dives onto the back line, but immediately exhausted. And maybe he'll get Comp, or maybe he won't even get down the heels on Comp. Oh, absurd. And Misfits slain by the wolves that are Rogue. The rabbits lie demolished.
You can hear the elation from Rogue's comms as they were able to outplay that fight. HiRit did everything in his power to kill Comp, and it still was not enough. Rogue continue to extend the gold, they continue to extend the lead, and they are looking to secure top 3 in the LEC.
Everything that could have gone wrong for Misfits went wrong in that fight. HiRit, yeah, exhausted, couldn't get the kill. Vetheo is popped before he can do anything. Mersa as well. And the engage from Malrang was just fantastic to see. So Misfits the ones to pull the trigger here because Odoamne is late to the fight, so they want to start the 4v4 straight away. Vetheo is basically dead after his R1. Mersa as well. So the flash ult from Malrang was fantastic. Look at HiRit. He wants to get Comp, and Comp sidestep, kiting, auto-attacking. Yeah. Just fantastic here. Good mechanics. Actually, well,
those heals.
They just hit him a lot of times.
No, he Q, right-clicked, sidestepped, Q'd. That's 4 things he had to do there, man. That's
Where
pretty
is he
impressive.
getting heals from?
Maybe has Ravenous or some kind of bloodline.
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
has,
yeah.
probably
you
has
can see.
both,
Yeah,
actually.
you're right, okay. Because I was like, there's Yuumi can't do that.
It also has refillable. So.
Oh, that may have also been it. Yeah, I wasn't keeping track of his item usage. Either way, he was able to outplay that. Beautifully done. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, haha, Zeri, 200 years. But Comp is playing this champ really well.
Is Zeri 200 years though? I feel like it's 400.
I mean, maybe. But all I can
she
tell
got
you
nerfed
is that
though, so she's back down to 200
so
now.
okay.
Yeah.
Comp is really good at the champ. And I think that like she's a pretty difficult champion to play, in my experience. Maybe I'm just bad. But I've been very impressed with what Comp has been doing. And those both can be true,
You remember, Neon was in a similar position in game 1. Like, he had a couple of kills on the Zeri early on, and he was never able to find this way of working and threading himself through a team fight.
So it's a 7k gold lead roughly to Rogue, but I've seen Misfits down 14k before and double that, and they've won games, so we'll see if they can hold on.
While that is true, I think the biggest difference this game to previous games is Vetheo has never been 0-3 at this point in the game. Normally he's been even, maybe a little bit behind, but to see Vetheo shut down this much, the fact that he was solo killed, I'm pretty confident in saying that's the first time he's been solo killed so far this split, right? And like the fact that he's been able to be punished, perhaps he's feeling the pressure. We talked about this roster being very young.
Misfits are looking to make something happen here. Quickness going in. The ball is on Malrang. He'll flash away, but here comes Comp across the wall. Cataclysm going down as well as Malrang tries to look up too. Onslaught of Shadows used by Shlatan to get away, and already Mersa's dead. Neon has to flash the wall, and Misfits were looking for a pick, but all of Rogue is there in a heartbeat. Feathers come back. Malrang still alive. HiRit going in with a slicing maelstrom, knocked back by Odoamne. A great Gnar by him. Vetheo dancing on the edge of vision, has to find something, but Malrang is marking him like a man possessed. Vetheo unable to ever approach the fight.
Oh! The damage from Comp, along with the Ignite, almost gets that kill onto Neon. He's forced
he's going! Just surf your way underneath the tower. Comp's gonna proxy a wave in mid lane, not something we too commonly see. Shlatan's on the chase, Odoamne trying to get away, still has the flash and will flash across the wall to the relative safety of his teammate. Shlatan still dancing around the Prowling projectile, finds its mark. Comp with the auto for the slow, but can't quite find the final bit of damage. Now Misfits coming back out. Odo will fall, shut down over to Vetheo.
Wow, what an extended
Comp, he's
exchange.
looking for it. It's still going, Vedi. Every exchange is extended and every team fight continues for a couple of minutes as Mersa and Vetheo try to escape. Comp, you gonna dive in? Decides against it.
That was a fight.
Yep.
Started in top lane, by the way, ended in bot lane. Zeri is the speed.
I didn't even remember that's where it started.
Yeah.
It started in top Crux brush, didn't it? It all
Well,
started
it
on the
started in
Gromp.
top lane. It was Misfits that started the fight, and Comp basically said, well, I'm going for a jog. Made his way all the way down
He
the
does
bot.
his cardio, okay?
Yeah, yes he does. But Rogue are taking absolutely everything right now, and you can see the seams falling apart for Misfits. They find themselves at a 10,500 gold deficit. It feels like that it's just a matter of time, and yes, we've said this before, but the situation that Misfits find themselves in, I'm going to try and cast the curse as much as I can so we can have an intense game 4, but right now it feels like this game is done and dusted.
It really does feel like it, and I have to just look at Malrang's build again, because I love this Zhonya's build. He seems to be convinced that first strike Chemtech Zhonya's is always the way to go to buy time for his team. 2 levels up right now, 13 out of 15 kills, and I must say as Jarvan, it's a bit of a cheat code to just press E in a team fight, and you've definitely got 5 assists if you ace them no matter what. Anyway, HiRit doesn't have flash up just yet, about to come up, but still will be fine. 30 seconds on the Dragon, will be Rogue second.
I'll have you know that his E does 259 magic damage right now.
Damn.
And when you come, it does more damage than his Q does, and it's not even level 5.
The Zhonya's giving it a little bit of AP scaling.
The poke, think about it. I mean, that was what they did on Jarvan supports, right?
Yeah, spell thieves, I believe, right? And just
You just
max
spam E
poke
all the
with
time.
The stopwatch just helps you survive, right? Like, obviously,
Of course,
we mock the
yeah.
magic damage a little bit, but it does make sense. As Shlatan and the rest of Misfits are forced away from their tier 2 in the mid lane. HiRit fighting with Odoamne. Odoamne winning out that battle right now as Malrang EQs in. Rogue continue to force Misfits back. You can see Vetheo just trying to get funneled something in the side lane. Now going to TP behind. HiRit is in a good position for the slicing maelstrom, but you gotta find it. HiRit goes in, slicing maelstrom, the Vetheo going out, and Orianna's already dead. The shutdown is the second for Vetheo. They continue to fight, but Comp is still alive on the back line. And because Zeri has 400 years behind her belt, even the entirety of Misfits cannot kill her. Rogue are looking for the win.
And they only lost Larssen. They have a wave, and it's just going to be a win for Rogue. 3-1 in the series. What a dominant game 4. Misfits bounce back, yes, but Rogue slam any chances they had right back to the ground. And it all comes up the back of Comp on this Zeri. Fantastic team fighting. Larssen as well. Malrang did his job. This version of Rogue is great.
For the 4th time in a row, Rogue will lock their spot as a top 3 team in Europe.
And an impressive way to do it. Yes, we saw in Game 3, Misfits, they looked revitalized. They looked like that they could bounce back in the series, but in this game, we saw once again that Rogue dominance. Malrang once again keeping track of where Shlatan was and limiting his early game impact, and just so many of these early exchanges and a few blunders we saw from Misfits, which Rogue very quickly capitalized on. And the moment the Comp became unlocked, he just became a terror on the map that couldn't be shut down.
Yeah, all of the Misfit spells, they hit Larssen in kind of like the AoE collateral damage of trying to find Comp, but they couldn't actually close the gap to do so. So yes, you got one of their carries, but you didn't get the rest of them.
And after the early game mishaps, it was a very difficult game for Misfits ever to come back from. Credit to Rogue, of course. They continue just to accelerate their lead, to accelerate the game, to take everything away from Misfits and never give them an opportunity. Even when Misfits were looking for engages, it was Rogue who were answering quicker, who had the numbers advantage. And it only sets us up well for their clash next week with either Fnatic or G2.
Certainly does. As you rightly mentioned, Misfits are not out yet. Our format does have a lower bracket, and Misfits will be moving into that. Depending on the result of tomorrow's game, will determine where in that bracket they sit, because they did end the season in 3rd, which means that they may actually end up even further in that lower bracket than even G2 in the event that they lose. So Misfits definitely not in the worst position when it comes into playoffs. They'll have a lot to learn. And remember, a very inexperienced roster for Misfits. For many of them, this was their first playoff best of 5, and so there's a lot to learn playing on this stage, and I'm sure that moving into next week, we will see more revitalized Misfits.
It's only the hope. Now, your key player of the series votes at LEC on Twitter. Odoamne, Malrang, and Larssen are your options. I actually think all of the Rogue players had very good moments. Trymbi, especially in game 1 with those Lux bindings, he was so on point.
The thing that surprised me was after, I think, game 2 or game 3, you saw the kill participation. Odoamne was above Malrang.
Yeah, 88%.
I was like, hang on a second, Malrang's doing like everything. How is Odoamne ahead in kill participation? This game, of course, he was like 2-1-2 when they had 20 kills. So, Giga Chad Odo.
Had a great series, had a great day, as did the rest of Rogue, and they take the series and will face the winner of tomorrow's games between Fnatic and G2 next weekend. After the break, we'll hear from the victorious comp, while Larssen will join us in PGL. Don't you go anywhere.